and I wouldn't let it break me. I wanted it to make me. I wanted her to be proud of the person I would become. I didn't want her worried.
Mummy, when I'm king, I'll give it back to you. 7 haunting words from a young Prince William, spoken with innocence, remembered with pain. But what was the desperate promise behind those words? And why did the palace go to such lengths to bury it? Join us as we uncover this untold story of Princess Diana's final wish and the secret that could shake the very foundation of the monarchy, the discovery that shocked the palace. The year was 2004, 7 years after that terrible night in Paris. 7 years of carefully managed grief. In a hushed London auction house, behind bulletproof glass and armed security, something extraordinary emerged from the shadows. Private letters. Diana's most intimate thoughts. Words never meant for public eyes. The auctioneer's hands trembled as he held them. Among the collection, one letter stood out. Cream envelope. Royal crest crossed out in black ink. A mother's message to her firstborn son. Written in Diana's elegant script. Every word dripping with love and fear. The palace had tried desperately to keep these letters buried. Senior courtiers made frantic phone calls. Lawyers descended like ravens. But secrets have a way of finding light. What drove Diana to pour her heart onto paper? What prophecies did she leave for William? What warnings did she encode in maternal love? These weren't just letters. They were time bombs, ticking beneath the throne. The royal establishment had always painted Diana as emotional, unstable, too modern for monarchy. But these pages revealed something else entirely, something that terrified them. A mother fighting a war, not with armies or politics, but with tradition itself. To understand that promise, we must go back to the beginning, to the day Diana first became a mother and quietly rewrote the royal rulebook. Picture young Diana in 1982, 21 years old, pregnant with the future king. The fairy tale still intact. The camera is still kind. She sits at her desk in Kensington Palace. Morning light streaming through silk curtains. Bach playing softly on the radio. Her hand moves across cream-colored stationery. "My darling William," she begins. Even then, before his birth, she knew her son would need armor, not the ceremonial kind worn at state occasions, not the medieval steel in the Tower of London. Emotional armor, the kind that protects the heart from becoming stone. The monarchy had rules about everything. How to walk, how to wave, how to smile for cameras, which fork to use, which emotion to suppress. But Diana had different lessons in mind. The discovered letters revealed her master plan, a revolution disguised as motherhood. Do you think Diana knew her time was limited? Share your thoughts below. But what she wrote next would defy 300 years of royal protocol and change the monarchy forever. The Great Rebellion. June 21st, 1982. St. Mary's Hospital. 4:33 in the afternoon. The same room where the Duchess of Cambridge would give birth decades later. But Diana was a pioneer, the rule breaker. When baby William emerged into the world, weighing 7 pounds, Diana made her first act of defiance. She lifted him to her breast. The Queen Mother nearly fainted. Her pearls clutched, her lips pursed in generational disapproval. Royal babies were fed by wet nurses, had been for centuries. It was tradition. It was proper. It was done. Your Highness, we have arranged for the finest. No. Diana's voice cut through tradition like a sword through silk. I will feed my son. Can you imagine the scandal? The whispers in palace corridors? But this was just the opening shot. Traditional royal children lived in nurseries. Separate wings. Different worlds. They saw their parents for 30 minutes after tea. If scheduled, Diana tore up that rule book, fed it to the corgis. She slept with William in her room, changed his nappies herself. Royal hands touching common mess. She sang him lullabies at 3 in the morning. Rockabye baby in a palace of stone. The staff were bewildered. This wasn't how things were done. This wasn't the way. Charles found it all rather peculiar. His mother had been a distant figure, a crown before a cuddle, a wave before a hug. Darling, the nannies are perfectly capable. Diana's blue eyes flash with maternal fire. They're capable, but they're not his mother. The battles began immediately. She dressed William in regular clothes, Oshkosh overalls, striped t-shirts, not the stuffy sailor suits royals traditionally wore, not the miniature military uniforms. She took him to McDonald's. Can you picture it? The future king eating chicken nuggets, ketchup on his chin, sticky fingers on a plastic tray. The bodyguards were horrified. Ma'am, security risks. He needs to know how real people live. But it went deeper than Happy Meals. Diana understood something the palace didn't. Something revolutionary. A king who'd never ridden a bus couldn't rule a nation that rode them daily. A prince who'd never queued couldn't understand patience. She enrolled William at Mrs. Minner's nursery school, a regular school with regular children. Children whose parents worked in shops, drove taxis, struggled with bills. The queen was apoplectic. Her expression could have frozen Thames. This is highly irregular, Diana. Good, Diana replied. Irregular is exactly what my boys need. Because irregular meant human. Irregular meant real. The letters from this period reveal a mother's fierce determination. She wrote to friends about her vision, her battle plans. I want William to lead with his heart, not just his head. To feel first, think second. Revolutionary words in a palace built on protocol. Dangerous thoughts in a world of precedents. But Diana was just getting started. The night everything changed. December 9th, 1992. Kensington Palace. 9:37 at night. The rain hammered against ancient windows. Thunder rolled across London like divine disapproval. Diana sat on William's bed. The Thomas the Tank Engine duvet pulled up to his chin. Harry was already asleep next door, clutching his teddy. The fairy lights twinkled on their Christmas tree. Normal. Desperate for normal. William was 10 now, old enough to understand, too young to accept. Mummy, why does Papa live somewhere else? The question hung in the air like incense. Heavy, sacred, terrible. How do you explain a broken marriage to a child? Especially when the whole world is watching. When photographers camp outside like vultures. Diana's letters from this period are heartbreaking. She describes William's face that night. The confusion clouding blue eyes. The hurt hiding behind royal training. Darling, sometimes grown-ups, sometimes love changes shape. But you'll always love us, always and forever, until the stars fall down. She held him close. This boy who would one day wear the crown. But tonight, he was just a child needing his mother, needing promises in the dark. The separation announcement was days away. December 12th, circled in red on her calendar. The palace machinery was already spinning. Statements prepared, narratives controlled, damage limitation in full effect. But in this quiet moment, Diana made William a promise, a vow more binding than any royal oath. No matter what happens, no matter what they say, no matter what you read, you and Harry come first. Always. The letter she wrote that night, discovered years later, reveals her anguish. Her mother's heartbreaking on palace stationery. My precious William, they will try to turn you into stone. Don't let them. Stone kings make stone kingdoms. She knew the palace would close ranks. Knew her influence would be limited. Counted. Remember the homeless shelter? Remember their faces? Their stories? William nodded. Diana had taken him to Centerpoint. Let him serve soup. Talk to people society ignored. People who called him mate instead of your highness. That's reality, darling. Never forget it exists. Never forget they exist. The irony wasn't lost on her. She was teaching the future king to reject the very system he'd one day lead. But perhaps that was exactly the point. Charles had grown up in ivory towers. Diana was ensuring William's feet touched the ground, that his hands knew work, that his heart knew breaking. "When you're older," she whispered, smoothing his hair, "when you have the power, promise me something." "What, Mummy?" "Promise you use it to help people. Real people, not just the ones in ball gowns." "I promise." She kissed his forehead, tucked him in, turned off the light, left the door cracked just enough. In the hallway, she leaned against silk wallpaper and wept. Silent tears for a future she might not see. The battle for her son's souls had begun. The interview that shook the throne. November 20th, 1995. BBC Broadcasting House. The cameras ready. The throne trembling. 55 minutes that would redefine the monarchy, that would crack the facade like earthquake. Diana sat across from Martin Bashir. No palace handlers. No prepared statements. No safety net. Just truth, raw and unfiltered. There were 3 of us in this marriage. Boom. 23 million people watched. Jaws dropped. Teacups rattled. The palace held its breath. Aides scrambled. The Queen's corgi sensed a disturbance. But hidden in that interview was something more profound, more dangerous. A mother's manifesto. "I want my boys to experience life, not just observe it from a throne, not just wave at it through bulletproof glass." The Queen watched from Buckingham Palace. Philip threw a whiskey glass at the wall. The Balmoral stag had witnessed royal rage. How dare she? How dare she speak so freely? So honestly? So humanly? But Diana wasn't finished. The truth had momentum. William and Harry need to understand people's emotions, their insecurities, their hopes, their electricity bills. She was rewriting the job description for a king. Live on television. Primetime revolution. The tabloids exploded. Mad, bad, and dangerous screamed one headline. OFF with her head implied another. But in her private letters, Diana revealed her calculation, her chess move. "They think I'm hysterical. Good. Let them underestimate a mother's love. Let them miss the strategy and the tears." But her boldest move was yet to come. An on-camera reckoning that would shake the monarchy and put her motherhood manifesto on the record. She knew the interview would cost her. The Queen would retaliate. Charles would close ranks. The drawbridge would rise. But it also protected her boys. Put her vision for them on public record. 23 million witnesses. No palace courtier could fully erase what a nation had heard. No protocol could silence that echo. The morning after, she took William and Harry to school as usual, smiled at the photographers, waved at the crowds. Armor on, smile bright. Inside the car, William asked, "Why is everyone staring more than usual?" "Because Mummy told the truth, darling." "Is that bad?" Diana's reflection caught his in the mirror, a moment of perfect understanding. Never be afraid of truth, William, even when it costs you everything. The palace response was swift, cold, calculated, surgical. Her HRH title would be removed, her royal protection reduced, her office relocated to Siberia. But they couldn't touch what mattered, her time with her boys, her influence on their hearts. The letters from this period burned with defiance. Phoenix mother rising. In her search for strength, Diana looked to the past to find proof that love and monarchy could coexist. Even if history tried, forget it. They can take my title. They can't take my purpose. They can't unlove my love. The ancient law Diana discovered, deep in the royal archives, past forgotten passages and medieval scrolls, Diana had found something remarkable. It was 1986. She was researching, trying to understand, trying to find precedent for feeling. Queen Victoria's private journals, leather-bound, locked away. Specifically, entries about her children. The young Diana, still learning palace ways, had stumbled upon a secret. Even queens could be mothers first. Victoria wrote of sneaking into the nursery at midnight, holding baby Edward, defying protocol, Breaking rules for love. The heart knows no crown. Victoria had written in 1841, Mother trumps majesty. Diana photocopied that page, kept it in her desk drawer, her historical permission slip, her royal precedent. If Victoria could break rules for love, why couldn't she? The discovery emboldened her. When courtiers questioned her methods, she had ammunition, historical backup. Even Queen Victoria believed in a mother's touch. Couldn't argue with their beloved matriarch's ghost. Checkmate. But Diana dug deeper. Academic determination. Found more precedents. Queen Alexandra teaching her sons to care for the poor. Hands dirty with charity. Princess Mary volunteering in hospitals. Royal blood mixing with common. Royal women who understood duty meant more than ceremonies. More than waving from balconies. She shared these stories with William and Harry. Made history personal. Made the past present. Your great-great-great-grandmother did this too. You come from love, not just bloodlines. It wasn't rebellion. It was tradition. The right kind. The forgotten kind. The letters reveal Diana's strategic thinking. She wasn't just fighting the present palace. She was recruiting the past. Building an army of ghostly allies. History will vindicate mothers who loved too much rather than too little. Prophetic words from a woman whose sense her time was short, who felt the clock ticking. She created a curriculum of compassion, took the boys to homeless shelters, hospitals, hospices, reality classrooms. But Mummy, why are we here? Harry once asked at a leprosy clinic, because one day you'll have power. You need to remember those without it. Power without empathy is tyranny. The palace preferred controlled charity. Photo opportunities. Ribbon cuttings. Diana wanted immersion. Full baptism in humanity. She held AIDS patients when others wore gloves. Let her boys see her do it. Touch teaching. Fear is learned, she told them. So is love. Choose your teacher. William was 11 when he first served soup as shelter. The photo never made the papers. Diana made sure. Some lessons weren't for public consumption. True charity happens in the dark, she wrote. No cameras, no credit, just kindness. 2 futures, 2 mothers, 2 women, 2 visions, 1 throne, history watching. Camilla Parker Bowles, the woman Charles loved, pragmatic, traditional, patient as stone, steady as centuries. Diana Spencer, the woman the people loved, emotional, revolutionary, fierce as fire, bright as comets. The letters reveal Diana's complex feelings about her rival. Nuanced, human. I don't hate her, she wrote to a confidant. I pity her. She'll never know the joy of midnight feedings, of first words, of sticky kisses. Camilla represented the old ways. Duty before feeling, crown before children, precedence before presence. She understood the palace machinery, knew which wheels to grease, which traditions to honor, which battles to skip. The monarchy has survived 1,000 years, Camilla once said at a dinner party. It doesn't need revolution. It needs preservation. But Diana saw it differently, felt differently. What good is surviving if you're not living? What good is a 1,000-year throne if it's made of ice? Their approaches to the boys reflected this cosmic divide. Camilla brought structure, protocol lessons, historical context, the weight of destiny, the burden of birthright. Diana brought chaos, beautiful, necessary chaos. McDonald's runs, arcade games, water fights in the palace, laughter echoing off ancient stones. You're spoiling them. Charles complained after finding William playing Nintendo at midnight. I'm saving them. Diana shot back, from becoming you. The words hung between them, truth sharp as swords. The letters describe one telling incident, William's 12th birthday, a crossroads moment. Camilla suggested a formal dinner, proper guests, educational gifts, history books, and ceremonial daggers. Diana took him go-karting, just the three of them. William laughed until he cried, until his sides hurt, until he forgot he was royal. Which birthday do you think he'll remember? Diana wrote to friend, the stiff collar or the screaming turns? Both women loved the boys in their way, but love speaks different languages, different dialects of the heart. Camilla spoke in preparation, rules, expectations, the long game of monarchy, chess moves. Diana spoke in presence, joy, memory making, the short game of childhood, cartwheel moments. He'll have a lifetime of formal dinners, Diana reasoned. He only gets one childhood, one chance at wonder. The tragedy is both were right. William needed both languages, both teachers. But in those crucial years, Diana made sure joy spoke loudest, made sure laughter drowned out protocol. Her letters from 1996 show a mother racing against time, fighting the clock. I pack a lifetime of love into every moment, just in case. But by 1992, the fairy tale had collapsed, and the bedtime stories would be replaced by hard truths, just in case. Two words that haunt every page, that prophesy without saying, the silence after storm. August 31st, 1997. The world changed. Heart stopped. Time fractured. But before we reach that night, look at the summer that preceded it. The last golden days. Diana's final letters pulsed with plans. Future tense on every page. Tomorrow and tomorrow, when William starts eating. For Harry's birthday. Next Christmas wheel. She was building their tomorrows, even as her own grew short. Architecture of love. The final discovered letter to William, dated July 1997, is almost unbearable to read. Maternal prophecy. My darling boy, you are growing to such a wonderful young man. My pride, my purpose. He was 15, tall, starting to look like his father, but with his mother's heart. Her emotional intelligence. Remember our talks. Remember what matters. Remember the soup kitchen. Remember the truth. Did she sense something? Mothers often do. Ancient intuition. The yacht trip that summer. The last holiday. The photos show laughter. Mediterranean sun. But the letters reveal undercurrents. Undertow of knowing. I want to freeze time. Keep them young. Keep them mine. Keep them kind. Every mother thinks this. But Diana wrote it down. Carved it in paper. After her death, William kept that final letter under his pillow for months. Paper wearing thin from touching. Harry was only 12. Still needed tucking in. Still believed in happy endings. Still thought mothers lived forever. The palace machinery whirred into action. Protocol for grief. Scheduled for sorrow. Proper mourning at proper times. But who would take them to McDonald's now? Who would remind them that crowns were just metal? That titles were just words? The answer came slowly, in small ways. In DNA deep lessons, William started visiting homeless shelters. Quietly, no cameras, his mother's son. Harry learned to hug, really hug, the way Diana taught. Full body, full heart. They kept her lessons alive in tiny rebellions. Revolutionary acts disguised as normalcy. Choosing their own clothes. Speaking to staff like equals. Laughing too loud at formal dinners. Being human first, royal second. The palace tried to smooth these rough edges. Polish them into proper princes. Sand down to Diana. But Diana's love had left marks too deep to buff away. Grooves in their souls. Watch them now. How they crouch to child height. How they touch without gloves. How they see people, not subjects. How they speak of mental health. Of pain. Of being human beneath the crown. Of feeling in a world that demands stone. And though she's gone, the legacy lives. In every quiet act of compassion, her sons still carry out. The discovered letters weren't just historical artifacts. They were instruction manuals. Love letters to the future. How to be royal and real. How to serve without losing yourself. how to wear a crown and keep your heart, how to love your children more than your throne. 26 years later, William remembered his promise. That night in December, thunder and tears. "Mummy, when I'm king, I'll give it back to you." He couldn't give back her title, but he could give the world her vision. A monarchy that serves instead of just reigning, that feels instead of just performing, that remembers humanity, that remembers the Big Mac runs and midnight cuddles, the go-kart birthdays and leprosy clinics. Diana's revolution didn't die in a Paris tunnel. It lived, it grew, it bloomed. It lives every time William holds his children close, every time Harry speaks his truth, every time a royal hugs like they mean it, every time a future king chooses compassion over protocol, heart over hierarchy. The letters were her legacy, but her boys are her masterpiece. What would Diana think of Catherine teaching George to cook? Of William doing the school run? Of royal children in regular clothes? Would she smile knowing her granddaughters growing up believing princesses can be anything, can feel everything? Would she see her fingerprints on a monarchy learning to be human? If these lost letters move you, watch our deep dive into Diana's final summer. The untold moments that changed everything. Because some mothers change the world not through the children they raise, but through the way they raise them, with love that breaks rules, with hugs that topple traditions, with truth that outlasts titles. Diana didn't just give birth to princes. She gave birth to a new kind of kingdom,